massively frustrated with Mike Tomlin. That was the 7th time he has called out the coaching staff. That was the most direct. It's not that he called out Tomlin. It's when he called him out. On his radio show, after he had read or heard Tomlin under attack.
This is The Herd with Colin Cowherd.
2 through 5 on 1420 NBC Sports Radio Tri-Cities. Follow us on Facebook. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. We've had Alex Doherty, we've had on Mark Malone. I like those two guests a lot. Obviously, I wouldn't have them on otherwise. There you go. By the way, that game that I referenced there from those many years ago, 32 years, well, I guess it's now 33, 85 opening day. Mark Malone throws 5 touchdown passes, scores another one. He scored the touchdown on a quarterback sneak. So Mark Malone can go and quarterback sneak, but Ben Roethlisberger cannot. Okay, whatever. Just something to think about. Let's see here. A lot of stuff. We got some college football news coming up. I do want to address one thing, and then I want to go back to a topic I spoke of yesterday. And speaking of hockey, Kid Rock performing at the All-Star game. I said he was going to sing the anthem. I actually think I was mistaken on that. He may wind up singing the anthem, but he's going to perform during one of the intermissions and at the event. And I think it's a great thing. And the NHL is, for whatever reason, it just shows you the cultural divide that we have in this country right now. You go on Twitter and you hashtag Kid Rock, and there's a lot of criticism for this move. I want to talk about that in just a second. I'm going to criticize one of our own, Matt Pauly. Matt, love you. Sports updates are always good, except, well, I got to tell you, this will not be the second straight year ETSU opens up with Mars Hill. I got to make that correction right now. Last year ETSU opened up with Limestone. Mars Hill, it's just right there over the North Carolina border, on the way to Asheville. You turn veer off or right. Used to be right at the Texaco station. Is that still there? They've changed the roads so much that it's not quite the same. So, anyway, I guess, do we even still have Texacos around here? I don't believe we do. So, anyhow, but I just wanted to point out, now, I did say yesterday, excuse me here, folks. I'm sorry. Please. Apologies. I did say yesterday that on the show, we would have a circumstance where Mars Hill is returning for first-year coach Randy Sanders. And Mike Cavan, when he took over the Bucks back in '92, he also scheduled the Mars Hill Lions, a D3 school. It's cannon fodder. Local, they get a paycheck. They get to play at what appears for them to be a big school. They take an L. They keep their football program going. ETSU gets an easy victory. The schedule that you heard Matt Pauly talk about, Garner Webb 1-10 last year, Mars Hill, they do have to play Tennessee, but then the rest of it, the Southern Conference schedule. So, outside of Tennessee, trying to schedule as light as possible to get 2 easy victories. And frankly, that's what Cavan did when he came over in '96, and he took over a really bad team and got them to 5-6. And ETSU hadn't been that good since, Mike Ayers was the coach. They hadn't been that good in 4 years. So, getting some of those easy victories, one of them was Mars Hill. So, whenever ETSU wants to revitalize their football program, they schedule Mars Hill. I don't know what that makes Mars. Mars Hill has more players right now in the NFL. Got a guy on the Steelers, at least. More than ETSU does. Now that Gerald Sensabaugh is running for mayor of Sullivan County and not playing for the Dallas Cowboys anymore. I'm Marky Billson. It's Tri-City Sports Now. We were talking a little hockey. I love the sport. I wanted to talk about this. We did yesterday, and I was really surprised when Kid Rock was named that he would be entertaining at the National Hockey League All-Star Game on February 18th. I just couldn't understand. I mean, you've got, I understand Twitter, it can be snide. You tweet, that guy isn't any good, whatever. I don't like him. There are plenty of musical artists I don't like, right? I mean, plenty of musical artists you don't like. So I can understand if you didn't like Kid Rock that you'd pick on it. But it seems like it's something more here. And I personally think this is a tremendous selection. It plays well with the bass. No city loves their hockey team more than Detroit loves the Red Wings. And not even, Toronto and the Maple Leafs or Montreal and Canada or someplace like that. And, he's a Detroit guy. I mentioned before how I think he's a real innovator in pop music because although he wasn't the very first guy, I can remember, Anthrax trying to put together rap and rock. I mean, Blondie was doing it at one point, so it was, but he was the first guy to really, really make it into a genre of its own, He was doing cowboy and all that. And let's give you this. Andrew Buchholz, he's a sports writer, writes for The Comeback. He continually called Kid Rock by his given name in his report on the gig instead of calling him by his, better known stage. I don't even know, what is Kid Rock's real name? I'm sorry, I should know that. But he said, a good point here being made by Warner Todd Huston of Breitbart. Would you do that with Lady Gaga? Would you do that with Madonna? No, you wouldn't. He also, Jeremy Roenick was, when this was announced, was just about jumping up and down, the former Blackhawks forward who now is studios for NBC. Again, I just think this is great. Hockey needs to get more involved into the South. This is the sort of guy that can, that relates to that culture, if you will. And whereas I know NASCAR had been trying to move away from some of that country culture from their base. Oh, we've got to expand our base. The problem is the base they wanted to expand to was never going to watch NASCAR. No one in Greenwich Village is going to watch NASCAR. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen. You don't go trying to recruit those people because they're not going to do it. But yeah, I do think this area, especially, I've said this before, East Tennessee's had pro hockey since 1961. Same amount of time as NASCAR. Ice Falls were the first college hockey team in the South. Knoxville Crusaders for 8 years. Cherokees. There's been teams in the Coliseum. They have their cult audience. And, I mean, it's fine. But this can expand that base. Someone tweeted this out. Her name is, and forgive me here, Hemal Haveri. Just a person. I mean, we're all just people, right? So she's allowed to make her opinion. But this I don't like. Minorities, people of color, and women already feel like the NHL doesn't gaff about them. Women? Really? I've never known a town in which the NHL was a part of, or for that matter, a minor league hockey team where the women didn't go gaga over. I mean, hockey player, you get chicks. Really. And I know you might be, well, that's not marketing, that's sex appeal. And point taken. But I've covered hockey, and I have found a tremendous female fan base. I mean, just really out of this world. As much as any sport, if not more so, following hockey. I mean, the percentage of fans being women in the stands, people of color and women, minorities. There's no more diverse sport than the NHL. I mean, they get people from all over the world. Korea, Jimmy Pack, I remember, all over the world. So anyway, and this I do, a guy named Evan Sporer, and they say we're supposed to keep politics out of hockey. Now, I know that Kid Rock looked at going for a Senate run, but is Kid Rock any more political than, say, Beyonce? Dancing, and with uniforms that resemble the Black Panthers. I mean, really. Comments, NHL is not anti-American like the failing NFL. At NHL games, we usually stand for two national anthems, Star Spangled Banner and O Canada. It's a guy named Rico Cat 1 who makes this comment. That's a good point. Phil Mushnick made a very good point about this as well. He's a columnist for the New York Post. I think he's the best sports columnist in the nation. And for the, shall we say, criticism going out on Twitter, let's look at the praise given when Tuesday morning, I shouldn't say this is a Tuesday morning, it's actually an older story. Phil Mushnick, this is the thing. There's a halftime show that is going to be broadcast. There was the halftime show for the national championship football game, college football, and it was Kendrick Lamar. Now, Kendrick Lamar is known for using racial slurs in his lyrics. Just listen to the song Money Trees. Yet you heard people like, Jamel Hill praising. Oh, wow. We're going to have Kendrick Lamar on. He's going to perform the halftime show of the national championship game. To be honest with you, I think I went to get a sandwich at that time, to be brutally honest with you. And as Mushnick writes, Hill's previous noteworthy excitements were tweets condemning President Trump, contributing to the oppression of blacks, calling Trump a white supremacist. Debatable, but, you're entitled to your opinion. And she was suspended briefly by ESPN because of it. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. More. ESPN fired tennis analyst Doug Adler as a racist, and we've heard about this, for accurately describing a poach of the net by Venus Williams as a guerrilla tactic. ESPN impossibly chose to hear that he called her out of nowhere a gorilla. Venus Williams is a beautiful woman. I once dated a woman that I thought looked a lot like Venus Williams. She was a little heavier, but nevertheless, how are you going to be as, athletically toned as Venus Williams, really? Come on, that's an unfair comparison right there. Anyway, it is a good point. You'll accept a Kendrick Lamar, but you won't accept a Kid Rock. That doesn't make any sense to me. And I do think that it is actually one of the reasons why, and I know this was college football and not pro, which seems to be declining, but I think the NHL gets it. As I said, the NHL knows, and they see where do they have to expand their brand nationally. They can do that with a Kid Rock. That's going to relate to people in the heartland. Kendrick Lamar will relate to people throughout the country, no question. But in Athens, in Tuscaloosa, and frankly, is someone using racial slurs in their lyrics who should be giving a halftime show at the national championship game? It's a good point made by Phil Mushnick, and there is some hypocrisy going on with the critics of Kid Rock performing at the NHL All-Star Game. I'm Marky Billson. When we come back, we've got some more college football news. I've got a tragedy, another one in college football. What about Hugh Breeze? Is he going to be the new offensive coordinator of the Alabama Crimson Tide? Lots of stuff. And the new ACC schedules are out. Who will Virginia Tech play? Tri-City Sports Now. Last Friday night, the Unicoi County boys basketball team won the high school basketball.